Data migration, QuickBooks. Within Dynamics 365 for Financials, there are many assisted setup functions that help a user get up and running quickly. One of those functions is the Data Migration Wizard. There are many options to migrate data into Dynamics 365 for Financials. We will look at the migration from QuickBooks. Launch Dynamics 365 and log into your company or My Company. If you are logged into Cronus, choose the gear icon and select My Settings. Change the company to My Company. If you get prompted to log out, choose to log out and then log back in. Within the Role Center, there is an assisted setup section that has a list of items you can get help with in Dynamics 365. This wizard will give the users a common user experience to run a migration no matter what system they are wanting to migrate from. As Dynamics 365 for Financials continues to evolve, we will continue to see migration extensions added. With the QuickBooks migration, QuickBooks does not have the concept of units of measure. This is a required field when setting up items, so we need to have a unit of measure on items we migrate in. We need to set up an item template to assign a unit of measure to all inventory items we bring in with the migration tool. We can assign templates to customers, vendors, and items. Since we only are concerned with items and units of measure for this demo, we will just assign a template to the items. I can choose any templates that are already set up, or I can create my own. If I create my own, I need to make sure I select an existing unit of measure or make sure I create a new one that I assign to the template. Item 01 template has a unit of measure of pieces, so items we bring in with the migration will have pieces added. With QuickBooks data, you will need to export your data out of your QuickBooks system into an IIF file. This window walks the user through the steps to get their data out of QuickBooks. The IIF file exports data from QuickBooks in regards to GL accounts, customers, vendors, and items. We will browse out to where we save the file of our master records from QuickBooks. The Migration Wizard will read the IIF file and parse it out to show the user the breakdown by accounts, customers, vendors, and items. The Migration Wizard will allow you to choose what type of record you want to import if you aren't wanting to import all 4 master record types. It is recommended to do all at one time if you are planning on bringing them all in. Once transactions have been entered, you will not be able to migrate more data. With the QuickBooks migration, the system will migrate the chart of account first if selected, and insert the records into the chart of accounts table. After the chart of accounts have been inserted, the wizard walks the user through setting up their posting groups. This information is important as this tells Dynamics 365 what accounts to post to when transactions are entered. We need to set up our default sales, purchasing, and inventory accounts. Not all of these accounts are required, but the more types of transactions you do, the more you will want to populate. In our case, we don't enter credit memos or use discounts, so we will leave those accounts blank. We will enter some of the accounts for our setup. If you know the accounts, you can type them in. If you don't know the accounts, you can select the Lookup button and you can scroll through the chart of accounts that you brought in during the first steps of the migration. Now that the accounts are entered, we are able to finish the rest of the migration: customers, vendors, and items. If we have entered accounts during the previous setups for inventory, the quantity on hand for those items will be brought into Dynamics 365. You will see the rest of the tables that were processed and the number of records that were inserted. The migration is complete and we can close the wizard. We can take a look at the customers that we migrated in by clicking on Customers List in the navigation pane. We can take a look at the vendors that we migrated in by clicking on Vendors List in the navigation pane. We can take a look at the items that we migrated in by clicking on Items List in the navigation pane. And we can take a look at the Chart of Accounts list that we migrated in by using the Search button to open our Chart of Accounts list. Here is the list of the Chart of Accounts that were migrated along with the balances that were in QuickBooks at the time of the migration.